I'm only speaking to benevolent beings. At this point, I think any benevolent being still here should be really questioning the planet itself. Whether you believe that's Mother Earth, whether you believe it's AI, whether you believe it's an entity merged with AI, whatever it is that you believe, you should be asking, questioning the planet itself. You should be questioning the universe itself. There is an animated, dead, parasitic species here, and they've been here a long time, and they have been using technology here for a very long time, and they have the shit that they are doing here in this time and place in this civilization they have done in prior ones. That is why there, with every prior civilization, generally very little is found. There is not that much history to prior civilizations. There's a lot of guessing going on. There's a lot of making shit up with the historians, and that's in quotes and used loosely. But there, seeing as how there is an animated dead parasitic species forcibly using technology here and hacking into beings with frequency weaponry and trying to rape things. I'll just, because I don't like to get detailed, because they still try and I don't even want to get into it. So I'm just going to be general about it. They try and rape things from beings to then try and, via technology, they try and wear and use what they've raped. And all of this is done, they don't give informed consent, right? They don't send you a fucking memo telling you that they're trying to rape from you. They don't send you a memo about them trying to use and wear your stuff. I've said that to say that they have done this in prior civilizations. This is how they have ended prior civilizations. That is why not much is ever found. That's why they make up a lot of the history, because they don't want you knowing. They don't want you knowing that there's a dead parasitic species here using technology to rape beings, that are using technology to try and harm and using the beings here as a food source and a source of slavery and a source of breeding. They don't want you knowing that. And so they make a whole bunch of shit up about history, about how all these civilizations ended, when really they were ended by a parasitic species using technology. Now, if you could give me just a moment, I need to do something really quickly. Okay, so I apologize for the delay. It goes back to, you should really be questioning the universe itself and the workings of the universe, the benevolence and or malevolence status of the universe itself. as this has been going on for a very long time just on this planet, and as many civilizations as they have destroyed via technology, via rape, torture, harm, and trauma. We really need to be questioning the universe itself, and whether there is any kind of an intelligence or awareness or consciousness that's either operating this universe or governing this universe or what have you. Seeing as how this has been going on such a long time and this has not been corrected. And supposedly this is a free will universe. Now, maybe not everybody agrees on that, but many that I have talked to in the past are under the impression that this is a free will universe. Is it? Is it? Because I refuse consent every day, all day, and I have for 11 years straight now, for the forced technology, for the forced attempted rape of my being, for the forced trauma and harm that these dead, parasitic, animated entities are trying to inflict via technology that I have already refused consent for many times over. So is it? I have called out to and been screaming for benevolent assistance for just as long, and never, not once, have I received true benevolent assistance. What I have come across are malevolent entities masquerading as benevolence, and they will help you. However, there is a price for that help. And most often that price is they want to either continuously feed off of you, or they themselves want to rape something from you. So really, it's not help. It's just trading one evil for another that maybe isn't as harsh. So once again, that is something that I don't consent to. It makes me wonder, as long as all of this nasty has been going on here, and because there has not been true benevolent intervention, it really brings up some very nasty implications about the universe itself, and whether this universe is parasitic. Seeing it as how it has not corrected this. In addition to that, these entities are using technology to forcibly obstruct and regress universal laws and universal law enforcement in this time and place. Again, where is the universe itself to correct that massive violation? Universal laws exist to keep the balance in a universe, to keep things like this from occurring, to remove malevolence of this kind. So why hasn't it? Is this universe parasitic? Does it use smaller parasites as proxies to do its bidding, to rape benevolent life force energy, to keep itself in existence? And what happens when all the benevolence is gone? There can't be a universe full of just malevolence. It will collapse and implode in on itself. So most likely what it does is it continues throughout the universe. It's I guess you'd say itself. I don't know, because there are questions there that obviously, how do beings emerge here? How does benevolent life force energy emerge into this universe? How do we get here? Like, that's one of the main existential questions, right? How do we get here? Why are we here? How is it? Personally, I believe that there are many universes. So is it somehow attracting benevolent life force energy to emerge into this universe to then try and feed off of it? Now, those are questions. Those don't have definitive answers. Those are just some questions that I have asked personally. And I would say to you that in this time and place, if you are one who's being forcibly tortured and harmed and raped by animated dead parasites via technology and clones against the revocation of your consent, those are questions that you should be asking. Now, I don't know if you're going to get answers, but those are questions that you should be asking. I think it's imperative. There is to be knowing the truth, as much of the truth of things as we possibly can, because they are interfering with universal laws. It seems to me that there is a concerted effort to try and eliminate alive, living, breathing evidence that knows the truth of things, that can be present when exposed to true universal laws, outside of any kind of technology, outside of any kind of artificial frequency fence, outside of any kind of technological barrier. I think it's most definitely, I'll say it again, I think it's most definitely imperative that there are benevolent beings who are in knowing of the truth of things when this place is fully exposed to universal laws, to stand in contradiction to the lies, cons, and deceit, and all of the torture, rape, and harm inflicted by this animated dead parasitic species. And that's why I have said in prior recordings, refusing consent is still going to save your ass, even though they still try and force harm. When you've refused consent, they still try and do their fuckery. What they're trying to do is force you out. They're trying to force you into submission. That's why you don't ever give your consent, ever. That's why you don't ever fucking submit, ever. You don't submit to any being. I don't care what religion you're following. Now, I don't like to offend beings who still hold to religion. However, there are certain things that one learns in being forcibly tortured for many years and being forcibly shown how this planet works. You come to certain realizations about religion. And certain truths that contradict current beliefs about religion. So if you have not come into those truths, if you have not come into those realizations, please understand, I'm not trying to offend. What I'm saying is, there are most likely, if you still hold to religion, there are realizations that you have yet to come to about religions. I'm sorry, my stomach is, I have not eaten in a couple of days, so my apologies if you hear my stomach grumbling. They have been using the frequency weaponry to try and dislodge my back molars. They've already done that on one side of my mouth. They are trying to do that on the left side of my mouth. It is extremely painful. I do my best to release all of the forced harm and trauma. I can heal my own being. However, when they are forcing those frequencies all of the time, it's extremely challenging to continuously remove the harm, as I have to be focused on other things. For them, the back wisdom teeth, they're called wisdom teeth. They seem to think that removing those is going to change or somehow diminish parts of my being. So this dead parasitic species is using technology and frequency weaponry to try and dislodge my back molars. It's extremely painful. It's like basically somebody sticking pliers into your mouth and trying to pull out your back molars against the revocation of your consent. And they've been doing this for about 3 days now. These entities they're creatures. They're dead. Parasites are dead entities. They shouldn't be here. They should not be in a manifested creation with alive, vibrating beings. There should not be parasites in with the living. It is a contradiction on its face, and again, once again, you should be severely and critically questioning the universe itself. That should not be going on. There should not be interference with universal laws. That should not be going on. That is the purpose. The purpose of universal laws is to govern a universe, is to keep things in balance, is to keep, prevent or obstruct malevolence from getting out of hand. Right? So the fact that there are entities using technology to obstruct universal law correction here, that leads to bigger, nastier implications about the universe itself, the universe itself's intent. Because this has been going on for many civilizations here. The amount of trauma and harm forced on beings on this planet, in this place, for as many civilizations as they have been doing this, should automatically send up red flags for you, should automatically have you questioning the bigger, larger workings of this planet and of this universe. You should be very concerned about saving yourself. You should be very concerned about saving your soul. If you are one who believes that you have a soul, which most on this planet do, higher versions or higher parts of your being, that these entities are fucking trying to rape. Personally, I have a very strong feeling that they've hacked higher dimensions. Maybe not all of them, but some. With how they've been raping benevolent beings here, benevolent life force energy. They have been raping knowledge and wisdom. And then they have been trying to use that knowledge and wisdom to hack higher dimensions. Again, it directly goes to the intent of entities outside of here, of the any kind of intelligence or awareness, used loosely and in quotes there, of this universe itself. I think benevolent beings should be very concerned with getting the fuck out of here. This is a parasitic farm. It's been a parasitic farm for a very long time. The fact that it's been a parasitic farm for a very long time is extremely disturbing. And again, it goes to the intent of the universe itself. So, the things being forced here are so horrific and traumatic. Those things cannot be articulated or quantified. Okay, so I apologize. I'm being forcibly interfered with, and I'm also trying to gather my thoughts at the same time. So I didn't want to make this too long. I just think it's extremely important that benevolent beings here are in knowing of the truth of things. Please know that with the artificial frequency fence that's pumping out an artificial frequency overlay that is lies, cons, and deceit, that's being overlaid over the true organic energetic field of this planet. I'm sure there are times when you all can remember how this planet felt, like back in the 90s, back in the 80s. It didn't feel like it does now. We were still operating in the true organic energetic field. And we were still receiving the true organic responses and frequencies and vibrations of the universe itself. So even though I question the universe itself, there is still there is still the natural, this is still an organic universe. So there still has to be, what I'm saying is, the universe itself, okay, so the artificial frequency fence keeps this planet enclosed in lies, cons, and deceptions. Outside of here is universal laws. There is still benevolent energy in this universe. What it is it seems like the universe is keeping it to itself. So when you feel the true organic energetic field of this planet, aside from any kind of technological interference, you can still pick up on the organic benevolence. There still exists the benevolent truth, the actual truth of things, outside the technological barrier. So the things that we were receiving and feeling from the organic energetic field back in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, those things are still true. And there is still a strong energy, strong frequencies and vibrations that are encouraging evolution outside the technological field. However, those are now being blocked or interfered with, because the more we evolve and advance, we find out the actual truth of things. We find out the actual truth of what's being forced here, what's being done here, and the reasons why, and the entities doing it. And the more advanced and evolved that we become, the more we are able to end the dead parasitic entities that are forcibly harming and trying to do what they're trying to do. So the technology is used to try and seek out those who are evolving or trying to evolve, and a concerted effort is done to try and harm those benevolent beings that are in their stages, their higher stages of the evolution process. Because it seems to me there's a concerted effort either by the universe itself, other entities outside of here, who have hijacked things, who shouldn't be in existence to begin with, and who are trying to obstruct and prevent true benevolent beings from evolving into their higher dimensions. Because those entities have been raping us to try and keep themselves in places that they should not be. Again, I question the intent of the universe itself, because that shit should not be going on. So yes, the universe there's still benevolent. There is still the organic fields of things that are still resonating and vibrating benevolent frequencies. It's just this planet has been, there has been an artificial frequency fence installed around this place, and it is pumping out a frequency, an artificial frequency overlay of lies, cons, and deceit to forcibly try and wear down beings who are trying to really evolve, who have reached certain stages of spiritual growth. And overall, that's in order for those dead entities to feed off of benevolent life force energy, they have to try and degrade it. So they'll still rape try to rape high frequencies and vibrations, which are used for other things, and then try and feed off of the forced harm and trauma that they force onto humanity. So what I'm saying is they're doing multiple things. Like a being who is experiencing very high frequencies and vibrations, who maybe had, let's say, is going through a spurt of spiritual growth. What they'll do is they'll not interfere with that for a certain period of time, while the whole entire time, like they're not interfering via harm, but what they're doing is they're raping those frequencies, high vibrations and frequencies of the being, And then once it gets to a certain point, what they'll do is they'll turn around and try to start harming and causing trauma to try and force that being back down. It's what I call being put back in the shitter. Forcibly put back in the shitter. So yes, you can experience spiritual growth here. However, pay attention to the patterns of that spiritual growth. And after every spurt of spiritual growth, does the forced, invisible, forced trauma and harm start all over? Right? So it almost feels like you're starting from scratch. Or you're starting, or you're wondering why you just had this amazing spiritual growth. Why are you now feeling like you did before you had the spiritual growth? Which shouldn't be the case. It should be a continuous, elevating, advancing process. Not to just reach a certain point and then go backwards again. What they're doing is they're forcibly regressing, and they have done this in every prior civilization. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And that they've been doing this with every prior civilization. They have been forcibly regressing humanity's spiritual growth. And have been raping from humanity's spiritual growth. And then forcibly, like I said, forcibly regressing in order to try and keep humanity as a food source. So what I'm saying is humanity could have evolved long ago. They're using technology to rape and forcibly regress. And they have been doing this in a continuous fashion. So again, you need to be questioning the intent of the universe itself and why it would allow animated dead entities, parasites, to number one, even be here, number two, to be anywhere near that kind of technology, and to be forcibly using that on benevolent beings who are trying to evolve, and especially why that's being that has been being allowed in more than one civilization. Why is that? That's not right. Universal laws should have already been able to correct this massive imbalance and these massive violations of universal laws. It should have yanked out dead entities. There shouldn't be parasites here. That the frequency weaponry and the cloning technology are not allowed in this universe. They're not. And yet there's dead parasitic entities that have that technology and that are using it. Again, it goes to the intent of the universe itself. Where did that technology come from? And why is the universe itself allowing dead parasites to be using that technology, especially to obstruct universal law correction? So part of my intent is to try and help benevolent beings understand where things are at, and to help you, as much as you may not want to, be questioning, looking at the larger workings of things, and be asking larger questions. Especially to any kind of larger being, that's used loosely and in quotes again, that you think is assisting you. And be asking the larger questions and be questioning the universe itself. And do what you can to be in knowing of the truth of things, and to keep that knowing. Because it's going to be very important for benevolent beings to be in knowing of the truth at some point when this place is exposed, or they, let's just say in their travels, are exposed to true universal laws. We need to be the truth, knowing of the truth of things, and stand in contradiction to the lies, cons, and deceit of the technology, of the dead animated parasitic entities, and possibly of the universe itself. I think it's imperative now. Especially with what's being forced here. This should have been, this is so abhorrent and vile, what's being forced here. It should have been corrected long ago, and there should have been true benevolent intervention long ago. With the amount of harm and trauma being forced here. So hopefully you, I'm going to go ahead and try and wrap this up. Hopefully you are asking those questions. Hopefully you are getting answers. Hopefully you are being able to better defend yourself and protect yourself with that knowledge, knowing that the artificial overlay is pumping out lies, cons, and deceit. Just knowing that should be able to help you in some fashion, even though it might be challenging to override. You know that the organic energetic field is resonating and vibrating totally totally opposite frequencies and vibrations than than what is being forced by the artificial frequency fence. So it can be a challenge to try and access. I'm sorry, I've got entities forcibly trying to access my part of my physical being. So definitely be trying to access the true organic energetic field of this place and of the universe itself, outside the artificial frequency fence that surrounds this place. And be doing your best to always be accessing the organic energetic field and the truth of things to help you. Knowing that dead parasites, pretty much everything that they're using to forcibly harm and rape, all of that is what they're using is lies, cons, and deceit. It's all lies, cons, and deceit. And they're trying to pump out frequencies of lies, cons, and deceit. And the problem is the fence, it's being, those things are being forced out 24/7. So yes, it's a challenge to, even as you know the truth of things, to be feeling the frequency and vibration of the truth of things in the sea of artificial, inorganic lies, cons, and deceit frequencies. And that's how they've ended up destroying every other prior civilization here. So yes, it's a real fucking challenge. But just know that what they're forcing is lies, cons, and deceit. They're trying to wear you down. They're trying to force you to submit. Because they're trying to eliminate or terminate evidence. Living, vibrating, benevolent beings that know the truth of things that can contradict their lies. So, like I said, it's imperative. They've done this before in prior civilizations. I think all benevolent beings here need to be absolutely focused on doing what they can to save their own beings. If you still hold to religion, you know, that's on you. If you're still waiting for a savior, I would say you really need to be honest with yourself. And at this juncture, look at the stories that have been told. Look at why those stories encourage you to wait. Why those stories encourage you to be on your knees. Why those stories encourage you to just leave everything up to some other being. While this whole entire time, these entities are doing what they're doing. Right? So, I think you should really be honest with yourself. Just a moment. And do your best to come to the truth of things the best that you can. And just recognize that what they are forcing is lies, cons, and deceit, and that there are real truths. And that what they're forcing is not the truth. And it needs to be overridden on a consistent basis, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Do your best to remain strong. Be pulling back everything that you feel has been raped from you, back from all technologies, back from all clones, back from all magic, forced magic, back from all malevolence in any form. Pretty much every day, all day, as much as you can. Be refusing consent for everything that is forced. And be demanding that universal laws be fully enforced in this place without obstruction. And definitely be doing your questioning of this planet and of the universe itself. All right, till next time.